This puppet is here not only to remind us of the inevitability of life, but also to remind us that puppets are super fun, and so is Fraggle Rock. Today, I want to talk about Fraggle Rock because it's awesome. I love Fraggle Rock. It's so good. I don't know if you could tell by my entire personality, it really sculpted me as a human. I wanted to talk about the pilot because I think that gives a good baseline for if I ever wanted to talk about Fraggle Rock again, but also because the pilot is like super solid. It introduces the characters really well, it introduces the themes of the show really well, and it has two really good songs that are probably some of the best songs in the whole series. It establishes character dynamics, it introduces all the main landscapes, just like a good pilot should, so that it's a great foundation to build on. We are also introduced to the main cast of characters, so we have Gobo, Wembley, Moki, Boober, and Red. We're Gobo, Wembley, Boober, Red! They say it in the theme song every time, so if you forget and you have quick ears, you get reminders every episode. So that's nice. All right, so without further ado, let's talk about the pilot. We are first introduced to Fraggle Rock through Uncle Traveling Matt, who is the uncle of Gobo Fraggle and an adventurer. And his job is to go around Fraggle Rock and report back what he finds. The first episode has him on the far edges of Fraggle Rock, where it's kind of creepy. There's pipes and creepy little doodads on the wall, and he happens upon this little tunnel, and it's blocked by something.
But behold! Look at this odd little tunnel. Ooh. Seems to be blocked.
Then we go on the other side of the tunnel, and we find out that it's this old building. This dog Sprocket and his owner, Doc, are moving into the building. Doc is excited to turn it into his workshop. It's full of boxes, it's dusty. Look at this place, it's perfect. There's a box blocking the wall, and they move the box because they're just organizing the space for the first time. And that fills this tunnel that Uncle Traveling Matt is standing by with light. And he's like, oh, it's open, great. He ventures through the tunnel and discovers that it's outer space, aka the human world. So he heads back home and he tells Gobo, like, I'm heading into outer space. Gobo's like, that's just a legend. And Uncle Traveling Matt's like, no it's not, because I found it. And I'm gonna go there, and you are going to come with me. I'm gonna go out into outer space, and I'm gonna leave you a postcard of all the things I find out there in this front room, where you can first, venture through the tunnel to outer space. And Gobo's like, I don't really want to do that. But Uncle Traveling Matt is like, great, so it's agreed. And Gobo's like, oh, I kind of figured this would happen. So he's kind of stuck doing this. And they sing the first song, besides the theme song.
Hip, hip, hooray! We're gonna dance and sing all day.
And it's fantastic. I don't know the moral of the song, but it feels right. I don't know.
Every morning, every day, every evening, calling me away.
So they go into outer space. Uncle Traveling Matt is like, this is the path. Here you go. I'm off. I depend on you to bring word back to Fraggle Rock about my adventures. But he encounters a dog, and so he's like, okay, that's frightening, but adventure awaits. So this is my new thing I have to do, despite the perils. Maybe partially due to the perils. But Gobo's still scared. The path out of Fraggle Rock is creepy. The path into outer space is super scary, especially if there is a beast in the first room of outer space. The dog, he's like 4 times the size of a Fraggle. He doesn't want to do it. So Gobo goes up to his friends and he's like, I have to go do this and it's super scary. They're like, that sounds rough. So he decides to go talk to the trash heap, who is this sage of sorts, to get advice. Now is a good time to mention Fraggles aren't the only Muppets in this universe. We also have Doozers, who are these little guys. They are like this big little robots, super cute. And then we have Gorgs, who are human-sized Muppets, like people in Muppet suits. So they're huge compared to the Fraggles. And in order to get to the trash heap, Gobo has to go through the Gorg's garden, which is dangerous because the Gorgs do not like the Fraggles. They think that they're gross, or they just kind of want to like capture them and keep them as pets. They're kind of like frogs or mice to the Gorgs because they're just so small. And they go through and steal vegetables out of their garden. You know, they're kind of a little bit of a menace in the Gorg's garden. But we'll get to that. So Gobo goes through the dangerous Gorg's garden, evades the Gorgs, gets to the trash heap and asks, "What do I do?" You know, like, this is super scary, but I don't want to let my uncle down. And the trash heap sings a song.
Troubles, that means pain, that means whoa, whoa, whoa.
And explains, one, you were brave enough to come all the way out here to ask for advice, so you're pretty brave. And two, you're not alone. You have lots of friends to help you. And Gobo's like, yeah, you're right. So he goes back home and he's like, friends, I'm scared to go to outer space. Will you guys come with me? And they're all like, yeah. And Boober's like, no. But he goes anyway. They get to outer space. The dog is in the way of the door. They're like, okay, what are we supposed to do? Then a red ball rolls in through the tunnel and they decide to distract the dog with this mysterious orb.
Oh, help! Do something! Do anything! That's it! The hideous round thing! Oh, no, not that! You saved me!
You know, so he did it, hooray! With the help of his friends, he was able to get that postcard from outer space, hooray! So this pilot is super solid because we have the introduction of Uncle Traveling Matt, and the introduction that he is going to go off into the human world on his anthropological investigation of humans, which is a reoccurring bit in many episodes. We have the introduction of all the friends and a bit of how they act, if they're for advice or if they're just encouraging friends or if they're a voice of reason or if they're a voice of worry. We get a brief introduction of the Doozers and a brief introduction of the Gorgs. Perfect pilot, you know? And then later in the show we find out like what they do for work and what they do for jobs and what they do day to day, and then we get the cute little interludes of Uncle Traveling Matt. What's interesting is that Uncle Traveling Matt, I think like the Uncle Traveling Matt bits are fun because he's always observing humans as this outsider. And sometimes he thinks like, you know, he's watching something like baseball and he's like, it seems pretty violent. And then since it's a kid's show, a kid watching it could be like, haha, it's not violent, it's baseball, hee hee hee, I get the joke, which is fine. But sometimes the bits aren't super interesting and kind of you just want to go back to Fraggle Rock. And also kind of because you get the context that these Fraggles can go into the human world, part of you as a kid might believe that the Fraggles might be real, and you're kind of sad that you can't go live with the Fraggles because their life seems amazing. And I still kind of feel that way. Like, if I could live in some sort of Fraggle-esque utopia where everybody ate radish buildings and all had to sing and dance for work, it seems pretty solid to me. I mean, that seems great. And I've kind of based my life around that, I think. Another really interesting part of the Fraggle Rock universe is that we have like these supposed hierarchies between the different kinds of Muppets, but every group thinks that they're at the top of it.
Fraggles are a noble race. Fearless, dignified, intellectual. They represent the very pinnacle of civilization and culture.
The Doozers are the smallest and the cutest. They are little construction workers, and in the theme song you're introduced to them. They are working all the time, as opposed to the Fraggles who are dancing all the time. It is revealed throughout the episodes that the Doozers think that the Fraggles are kind of dumb and oafish, and they think that their life is the way to live it. And the Fraggles are just like, silly Doozers, they're so silly, working all the time, what are they thinking? Like, whatever, we'll just never understand them. And then they're afraid of the Gorgs. The Gorgs think that these Fraggles are like these dumb little rodents, who don't have their own lives. They just spend all day playing pretend, as like pretending they rule their garden. Like they wear little crowns and they're like, I'm the smartest Gorg in the whole world. And they, from the perspective of the audience and the Fraggles, they don't really do anything. But they've bestowed king and queen titles upon themselves. They think very highly of themselves, that the Fraggles, are these lower beings. And the Fraggles are just afraid of them, but they don't really respect them. They don't, like, honor them as king and queen or something. They're just like, okay? Partially, they're not even, like, that aware that they even think that they're king and queen. Which I just, like, that's, like, so interesting to me. Because it really gives perspective of, like, people who live different lives than you aren't better or worse than you. They're literally just different. And it also gives the perspective that everybody kind of sees each other the same way, even though their lives are different and they look different and they're, it's interesting. And then you also get the added perspective of Uncle Traveling Matt seeing the humans and thinking the same kind of thing. So, like, it's a lot of, like, education around not everybody thinks the same way as you. And not everybody prioritizes the same things as you. But that doesn't mean that you can't learn from each other or grow together. So it's really cute. It's really sweet.
You're not just a silly creature. You're a you, aren't you?
I'm what?
A you, like me. That's it. We're all a part of everything, and everything's a part of us. Even you.
And plus, aesthetically, it's phenomenal. And it's a musical. And it's cute Muppets instead of creepy Muppets, which is not a problem. Creepy Muppets have their own charms. But Fraggle Rock is all the cute Muppets, and I love that. They have little feather hair and feather tails. Wembley wears a Hawaiian shirt and his eyes move back and forth. It's just fantastic. Did I unlock something from your childhood? If I did, you're welcome. Fraggle Rock's the best. I'm glad to remind you of it. I wonder if I just do that naturally without even mentioning it. That was super fun. I'll see you next time. Oh, by the way, I put up these disco balls because I don't have any rock decorations, but Fraggles love to party, so I just thought that would be fitting. Well, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.